It's Monday 28th, 2022. I'm in this. Interestingly enough, um, I sat down. Actually, I didn't invite myself. I kind of did. Lewis said that he was meeting virtually with an agent. He's working on a project which he's done my entire life. Um, he said he was virtually meeting with an agent, and I'm like, hmm. I was like, for marketing this project, and I was like, would you mind if I just quietly, I said, I won't say a word, I'll just sit in on listening to what it sounds like and just observing what you do. And he said that I could, and so I did. And it was so interesting to hear this woman. She has glasses like I have, the brown square glasses. She was not wearing any makeup, but she was absolutely like stunning as far as proportions and dimensions of her face. In and watching how she works in this agency. She mentioned something about a speaker bureau, which I had never heard of. She said a lot of things I'd never heard of. I got lost in some of her words. It became very wordy. Um, but there were buzzwords in her speech, for me, anyhow, with my personal experience. I mean, I met with someone who referred to himself as Three Pillars Construction, so where it was introduced to me at World Gym. So, in wherever I was, um, and there was that whole whatever. Um, so she mentioned she wanted to school my father on these three pillars, and I'm like, what? And then she used another buzzword and said that they have 11 employees, and I'm like, you have what? I don't know, in the August birthday club. That just sounds awfully familiar, I'm just saying. Um, Reading the Matrix the way that I am for the purpose for which I was time framed in the series of rooms I've been in where my red bearded father was not, who is now a white bearded older gentleman. Um, but I did listen to him with a very keen ear in things I did not know about my father. I knew he had this business at some point called Worldwide Corporate Network. I knew they had something to do at the time with podcasts. Didn't know what that was. Still don't really know. I mean, like, it's become a thing. I, and then he did fuel, wireless, and a couple of others. He was involved in major speakers coming together and telling their story to him. So that seems to be a very crucial self worth portion in this New York landscape of um, private equity and however public utility is working tilling the field. Um, so I hear him explain to this woman who looks to be about my age, I suppose. I don't really know. Um, and then I listen to her. It seems that she's been very businessy, um, and she knows this almost. And she kept saying like that they know famous people. I would imagine you have to be around famous people to know famous people, and the niche markets that they're in, and this building a brand, and then transitioning that into the virtual realm from the print advertising that they may have been, and the fashion world that they may have been in, that goes into the movie world, which goes into TV producers and the whatever. I get it. I haven't been part of it. I was kept away in Glenway, in like a Yellowstone president's children kind of a way, um, for respectful hummingbird flower. It's hasn't gone according to my birthing plan, but again, Lewis and I had a conversation this morning where I had to like reintroduce him to who I was on the phone the other day. I don't know if anybody caught it, and like surveillancing people's personal phone numbers, but my father calls me and he's like, what's your birthday? And I'm like, hello, father. Have we not met? And then I had to give him my birthday. And he's like, I'm 75, Nicole. And I'm like, right, no, that just means we've shared 44 celebrations that never happened on the day that I was born, but here we are. So, in just I read in one of the books that the church with the shepherd gave me from the Episcopals about the first 2 pages. They handed me this book as a present for Anthony, my 2012, and as I open it, I read in the I see I see where it's published, and I see where it looks like the illustrators are taking Christmas in. Wait, what? That's not Saint Nick for sure. Not the spirit of Saint Nick. Doesn't look like it's illustrated by Saint Nick, but who's calling out whose children for whatever they're up to. So it's just, it says an Advent family experience. I'm like, really? Because I really don't see the sun from the solar system, the one sun solar system, and Saint Nick's real bloodline. I mean, do the local Jesse Tree people collecting data, are they up to par? The introduction, I read it. It says how they celebrate their children, their children's births. I'm like, right. I have not. My parents didn't like. There was some photo opportunities when I was young for like maybe the first 3 or 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. And then when we moved out of the city or out of Queens and into the Glen, there was no more celebrations of birthdays. Even on like my 16th birthday, it was like pizza party and paper cups or plastic solo cups. It was not a birthday. Um, Especially considering the rest of the children invited me to their like country club birthdays. And I was not on any scale of what they were doing. So that's interesting. So my father and I had a conversation about self-worth, and I said to him, I said, listen, Lewis, I said, I'm grounded. I know my birth. I know I gave birth to a son in a single sun solar system that matches my own. I have self-worth. I can explain amongst humanity, I have fulfilled my purpose. I was like, I look around at the rest of how humanity has taken part and the reality, the fragile illusion of a reality that they built for themselves. And if all was stripped away from all that they built, and there was no tomorrow guarantee of what they have today, I don't know that they can construct a reality to explain their self-worth in the middle of a galaxy that they can't even describe, and that doesn't have a constellation system that supports or can quantifiably computate where their origins are or where their orientation is in a completely dark system where you have to begin again from scratch as a human and recreate life on this planet and in the solar system. I said, I've passed the test of time, Lewis. I've held the hands of time. I can construct the illusion of time into reality. I've completed that. I'm self-fulfilled. Where I have a problem is how the rest of humanity has built me out of what I needed as far as surviving and having good health and like ability, a quality of life is what I'm really defunct on at the moment. And so that was our conversation just between father and daughter today. The same father who, if you asked him on the street, he has no idea what my birthday is. Never celebrated it, like maybe in the beginning. I don't even remember if he was at every birthday I've ever had. But we get along. I mean, whatever. He's the man that's been with Linda throughout all of this, whatever. Um, so, as far as family and construct, that's about the importance that they placed on anything in this section of the solar system. I mean, the galaxy is built around our solar system between Milky Way. That's the way the humans explain it. It's what they put on their televised teachings. I just happen to have a real stake in being able to explain time, not as some illusionist abstract format, but in like real human, simplistic logic terms. At some point, Lewis is involved in some project, and one of his, whatever he was dealing with, wanted me to have an avatar in some project that they were working on. I have no idea what that means in reality. I don't know how to capitalize on it. I don't know how to plug in with it. I don't know how to interact with it. I don't know what it means for having my own. I have self-worth. I just have no bank account. It seems to be a problem when there's a lot of people who broke my path, capitalized on it in story format and accessories after the fact, and however that industry protects itself. In some, is there a shelf life on that level of intelligence at artificially intelligent? I'm pretty sure there is. It's a shared consciousness. It's how long are people going to follow it? And how loyal will they remain to the set path that they set out on together? Um, so 3 pillars and 11 employees. I thought that really interesting. Around the same age as myself. I don't know, Sarah, the investigative reporter. She seems to know how to get a hold of Jefferson or Thomas or whatever at English Muffins, and keeping, like, he's got his finger on the pulse, I suppose, in whatever we are. Um, or whatever she was that she ran off to Arizona to get married, whatever that means. I don't know if that's a Macedonian reference for my Italian side. I don't know if that's a kingdom. I don't know if that's like an Ari zone. And he's got a red beard. Now it's white. I don't know what to say about ARI after that. Um, this morning, talking about the differences in human, um, in like mindless human industrial talk and collecting human consciousness, and then how was it artificially enhanced, and how is this ongoing continuation. So this Transcendence movie that has the 78 and a couple of other symbols in a case file that has um, chosen to put together this Rift, RIFT, as something inside of this movie, which I connected with yesterday. I made my own digital reference. Um, the Today, Linda taped Howard Stern talking to someone that the humans over here call the boss, the BOSS, which was Bruce Springsteen, which was one of Judy's, like the Gunders. Well, Judy anyway, how also born in August, one of my 10 that I arrived to. She loved Bruce Springsteen. She everything was born in the USA. She had from her muscle car and her American whatever that I'm like, Judy, I don't know if I can let them know that, like, I mean, the Italians don't want people to know that Lewis went to a flea market and that you driving around in a muscle car. Although you're screaming out the window that you were born in the USA and Bruce Springsteen's the boss. And I'm like, I don't know if the other side of the family, how that's going to go over. Especially since and then I got into the back seat of Dad's Jag. So then the rest of my youth, I was looking out the blue Jaguar. I was looking out the window of that respectable automobile. It was quite an upgrade from the American muscle car to the Jag. So I greatly appreciate that with the Glen people who were taking care of my father and my growing up away. um, so that happened. And so today, Judy's boss, was on in this American USA, like he was a promoted piece of the collective consciousness of New York at one point. And Judy had his cassette and would play it over and over. And I get in the car and she'd light up a cigarette, and she died really early of lung cancer. So I really had that full American experience from the away to the very way that Lynn was in growing up 10 kids on welfare. So my mother never smoked, and on the whatever, and did not take me to the happy hour church. I know that came up at somebody's, and then I found out that I did not know, but I found out when I went to the Mormon church, they actually give out drinks. I had to ask though. I was like, what exactly is that? Because it was clear, and I was like, no, is that like a vodka product? I had no idea. And so they said no, it was water. So then I was like, oh, all right. But again, the church I go to does not offer alcoholic beverage. And then it was nice the one that they invited me to doesn't either. So that was on par with what I'm used to. So I thank you for not offering happy hour. Whatever. I hear that some of the others, in more of the Catholic persuasion, for a while they were giving out alcoholic beverages to their congregations. Again, I don't want to get in the middle of, I don't have a dog in that fight, so here we are. I'm just a cat and whatever. Um, so, um, so that was really interesting. With where my conversation with him was, and then watching him in action with some of these interactions that he has, and then by way of some divine fleeting connection with this woman that he found through an algorithm on his Facebook page, not on my own. He's the one who's had this lifelong experience of the industry trying to help him along best that they can from however many arm's length transactions away, so nobody gets any crazy ideas in like whatever. But I still have hummingbird flower priority. I don't know why I have two insults to my intelligence still in some common conundrum going on. Lewis seems really confused about the whole thing. He's like trying to help Teofrio in his level of American and his going to happy hour church his entire life. And meanwhile, we don't partake in happy hours. I mean, to keep myself alive, it's been a real rough road, but again, it's whatever it is at this point. Um, so I've been to few happy hours where I just drank water, and I believe there was, I don't know if it was somebody from the bar association, but they very really were at the bar with me where I said, no, I'm driving. That's always my excuse. I'm driving. I'm not drinking. That's just my standard stock answer in why am I sitting on a bar stool. It was because somebody invited me. I like to stay alive in New York, and I never know who's going to show up, but I conducted myself appropriately and either had water or nothing. I've had water and then left the water, whatever, and it wasn't water or something was in the water. And then I got fuzzy and dizzy and went down. And I think that that was the night with Sarah with the SAI and the computer chips with Kelly out in Comac. Um, and things that, like, I mean, how many pieces of stepping stones that or like, it really feels more like raking over the coals, is what it feels like at this point, in words that don't really make sense, but I have to be careful how I speak them. Um, but I hear now how the humans are working this virtual world. Again, at some point, I was either gifted or assigned some avatar for some reason. I don't know if that's the underground protection agency. I'm really unclear how they use these things that they alert the children that they want them to know that they have or are there or whatever. I don't know how to access this avatar. I never did. Um, but it's um, it's something that crossed paths with Lewis and whatever machine he was using at the time before the internet, like when the box had to have like a dial-up connection through a phone, and if it wasn't connected to the phone, the box never spoke. Which now you call that box computer, but like whatever. I mean, like, we're talking real old school, where like my princess phone was blue and it was attached to the wall until I got a swatch phone at some point, because whatever. I needed some independent line to a different room. It's star 1978, star 8378. Oh, so anyhow, so the boss, being Bruce Springsteen, on this Howard Stern interview and podcast, he refers to Riff differently than the Johnny Depp movie with the FBI with the case file on the hypothetical public announcement of something else. So he uses this word riff differently than the announcement on from movie theater land. But Bruce Springsteen, is in music producer or music free speech, whatever. Um, so I don't know what's going on with that. And then my Pandora's box of musical arrangements threw at me today. Um, a singer group called Cartel, that says "Say Anything." And when I looked at the musical group members, I was like, okay, so now if it's raining cats and dogs, is that considered a dog in my fight? Am I listening to him? I also saw that Iran put up their flag and took off some symbol that I did not know what it meant. I've seen it in the field, hanging from people's rear view mirrors, but and they drive past me with this symbol displayed. I did not know what it meant until this morning's See the BS mentioned that some soccer club had on their virtual world some campaign thing where it's the flag with just the colors without the symbol, and then Iran updated it through some official process, and put the symbol back. I was like, wow, that is a very powerful message, especially based on the respectfulness of inside and outside worlds and what they were saying on the local media. So I'm like, again, I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't think. I don't even want to go there with whatever. Is it a dog or a cat fight? Is it raining cats and dogs? I am in a red-headed and blonde parental conversation. I have no idea. I stick with there's the most, I have a powerful hummingbird somewhere, and he knows I'm a flower. That's it. It's as far as I'm taking that conversation. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.